Hello, hello, hello. It's Heather Lee Cameron again. Truly, life is a gift. Life is a gift that we need to embrace each and every day of our lives. We are gifts to this earth given by God. And we all have unique talents. We all have unique things we can give. We all have unique things we can do. We all have people we can inspire. We may not think that we're very inspiring or very talented because, we all have different struggles. But we're of infinite worth. Every single one of us was made by God's hands. Every single one of us was formed with intent. The intent was God wanting us to know that we are of worth. And some of us may have disabilities, some of us may have struggles, some of us may be treated poorly because of our struggles, but guess what? We are literally made by God's hands. And we are of the lineage of God. So even if others do not think we are of worth, we are of worth. We have value. We have a right to shine, and we have a right to thrive. Not just live, but thrive as we are. People literally pick on each other all the time, and I know how that feels. It hurts. I'm a person with disabilities, and people pick on me all the time. They exclude me. They try to tell me that I don't deserve to live or thrive or have success just because I'm neurodivergent. They do all they can to exclude me from the opportunities of life just because they think I'm challenging. But you know what? Being neurodivergent is a gift. It allows me to see the world differently than most people. It allows me to see people differently. It allows me to approach situations with a wonder that is missing in a lot of people because they don't take the time to stop and look and enjoy what's there. Being neurodivergent can be very lonely because a lot of people are afraid of neurodivergent people. I'm not going to lie. People are scared of us. People are scared of the stigma that comes with socializing with neurodivergent people. They're scared they're going to catch something, or something's going to happen to them, or their reputation if they come near us. But guess what? That's why neurodivergent people are so good at world building and storytelling. They have to build worlds that will help them to avoid being lonely. They have to just look inside themselves and learn how to tell stories that will help them avoid having to look at their own lonely world. And storytelling is not such a bad thing. It really does create great company. Learning to love oneself isn't easy in a world like this, especially if you're someone like me who just gets constantly told through not only words but actions, hey, you don't belong here, so stop trying. I'm always told that. I've always been told that. But that's why I turn to storytelling and helping others bring their stories to life. Because learning to tell stories and working to help others bring their stories to life, that was a comfort for me. That kept me from thinking about how lonely I really was. That kept me from focusing on the fact that I really didn't have any friends growing up. it kept me safe. It kept me from focusing on the fact that my father was an alcoholic who didn't work from the time I was 8 months old to the time that I was 8 years old, and that he was very much a functional alcoholic while working. Learning to become a storyteller and world building, it also kept me distracted from the fact that I was very much alone at school. Constantly got bullied by people and their parents for standing out. Constantly got bullied by teachers for daring to exist in their world when I wasn't very good at being in their world. It really just saved my life. Storytelling saved my life. It gave me a reason to be there when nobody else wanted me there. And you know, as I got older, storytelling helped me to deal with a world that wasn't made for me. Storytelling helped me to cope when the world began to bite back and tried to push me out. Storytelling, it was my comfort. It was my friend. When the people I thought were friends pretty much turned on me and made me realize I'm nothing to these people but a source of entertainment. Storytelling allowed me to be vulnerable and to find joy in a safe way that wouldn't get me laughed at. Because I put all my emotions into my stories, all my experiences into my stories, all my hopes and dreams into my stories. And it helps me to survive some very rough time and some very rough people. I continued to get older and the world continued to change, but it wasn't any more accepting than it had been when I was younger. Circumstances at home weren't any better. And then my father died, and I was suddenly feeling lost. It was like getting out of prison after a long sentence, because living under his abusive roof was very much like living in prison. It was very structured. It was very controlling. It was very much a matter of just staying in line. And suddenly he was gone, and then suddenly I was out of this prison and I didn't know how to cope with life on the outside. So I turned to storytelling in order to help me get my emotions out. It took a while for me to feel safe enough to do that. Like, I even turned to video blogging. Like, I did little things on YouTube. I did little things just in my journals. But as the years went on, as time went on, and I got further and further away from his death, I began to write things down and explore a life on the inside in more depth and explain on paper the situation that led me to become a storyteller. Because I do believe that the situation with my father and with being a neurodivergent child under the roof of an abusive alcoholic helped me to realize that storytelling was my jam. Storytelling was totally my place in the world. Helping bring stories to life, or helping other people bring stories to life, was my jam. It truly is an enjoyable career for me. I mean, that's why right now I'm a writer and an actor, because bringing stories to life has pretty much saved my life, and helping others bring their stories to life has brought me joy. And this has been my life for several years. And then come 2017, I was given a situation that I didn't think I could survive. I was diagnosed officially with endometriosis, and before that I had these dreams of finding someone eventually and settling down, having kids, but that was just a story in my mind. That was very much a story in my mind that I had made for myself with all my hopes and dreams. A story in which I defied social expectations and conquered them. I made a lot of stories of hopes and dreams for myself back in the day where I tried to be a more social creature. But those were just stories because I couldn't defy expectations. People wouldn't let me. So I told stories to myself in hopes that someday I'd be able to defy expectations. And then 2017 came along and I was diagnosed with endometriosis. It's a condition that very much affects fertility. And it just made the earth fall out from under me. For a while, I felt like I was nothing at all. I felt like I wasn't alive. And I felt like, what was I going to do? I felt lifeless. I felt like I was floating, free-falling. And I felt broken. I felt truly scared. Because a part of my story ended in a way that I didn't expect. I mean, how do you feel when you're told that you have this disease that will potentially affect your ability to continue your story beyond you? I had to take time for myself, and my ability to tell stories was temporarily shut down, as was the rest of me. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't function. I couldn't be a gift unto the world for a long while. And then I turned to God and I asked him, please don't take my ability to be a storyteller away. Help me to gain that back so that I can at least give some gift to the world, even as I have lost one gift. And so I eventually gained that gift back, and I used my experience with that loss to truly become a better teller of stories. And I'm continuing to this day to share these experiences that I might be able to become a better storyteller. Like being a survivor of abuse, being a neurodivergent survivor of abuse, having an alcoholic parent, having endometriosis, being a survivor of bullying. I'm actually able to approach those stories now and tell them and share them that others might find good in their own troubling experiences. Like I eventually took this family history research course through Brigham Young University, Idaho online, and I got all A's, funny enough, but it allowed me to look at the experiences I had in my life and tell those stories on paper and really just think about them and think about the negative emotions I was still hanging on to and realize that those negative emotions were stopping me from being able to tell the story in a way that would invite healing. Because I have written stories about my experiences before, but not in a way that would invite others to seek healing through their own experiences. I think I just threw a bunch of emotions on paper and called it an essay. I think that now I'm actually looking at these experiences and finding joy in the fact that I made such tough journeys. I'm able to see that these journeys had a purpose. These journeys helped me to become stronger, and that I can find no reason to fear or hate telling these stories, because people can learn things from these stories. People can find joy in these stories. People can learn from these stories, and I can learn from telling these stories that they're not the monsters that I perceive them to be. Nor is the monster who is the reason why I have so many stories to tell. Like, when he was dying, I gave him grace. I forgave his abuse. I let him go to the grave peacefully, but I held on to the emotions for so many years and didn't resolve them. And spat emotions on paper and called them a story. Now, I'm able to give myself grace by learning how to tell the stories without malice, without anxiety, and just simply share my emotions as they are. And be unashamed that I'm doing it, because it's not about dishonoring my father or anything that I've been through. It's about honoring myself and my right to tell stories as they are, and not letting anxiety or other negative emotions get in the way of what I have to say. Because, you know, being neurodivergent, I do have a problem with letting anxiety or other negative emotions get in the way of effective storytelling. And in that way, I think I'm my own worst enemy. Sometimes I let anxiety or other negative emotions get in the way of effective storytelling, and I don't need to do that. What I need to do is just look at my experiences and realize that there's a powerful enough story in there without attaching emotion to them. Life is so very short. I've had so many interesting experiences, and I'm not even 40 yet. What I've gone through has happened in the first 38, 39 years of my life. And I think that's pretty extraordinary, that I've gone through so much in 38, 39 years. And I'm still alive, I'm kicking, I'm a strong person, and I'm actually smiling. It's something to be proud of. It's something to look at and smile. Life is not easy, but the journey is joyful. Life will probably never be easy for me, but there's no reason I can't find joy in that journey, and find joy in the fact that even if there are difficult circumstances, there's a reason to smile, because that means there's more stories to tell. And there's more stories I can tell. It's fully my right to be anxious about my experiences. But I think I'm only cheating myself out of the opportunity to tell stories about what I've been through if I just let my emotions get in the way. I think it would be best for me to just focus on telling the stories and not let my anxiety destroy my ability to tell stories. There are so many stories to be told, and I am one, I feel, that has been assigned by God to tell stories and help others bring their stories to life. But I think I can only do that as long as I don't let my anxiety have power over me, as long as I don't give my power to negative emotions associated with negative experiences, as long as I keep my power I will be able to walk my path, the path that God has laid out for me. I believe that God gives us all something to do in our time on the earth, and He has given me the ability, the gift, and the responsibility to tell stories and help others bring their stories to life. And as I'm doing that, He wants me to remember that the worth of my soul is great in His sight, and that it is His work and glory to bring to pass my life, and He's done that. God has truly brought to pass my life by inviting me to tell stories and help others bring their stories to life. But I can't do that. I can't carry out what God has asked me to do if I just succumb to anxiety. If I succumb to the negative emotions associated with what is beyond my control, I can't do what the Lord has asked me to do. So I need to choose. I need to either let chaos control me or be in control of chaos. And be in control of how I respond, even if I cannot control my situations. In order to stay away from chaos, I need to focus on telling the stories, finding the stories and telling them, and having joy in the journey. I am the captain of my soul. I am the captain of my chaos simply by being in control of how I feel about a situation and how I respond to it. And I can stay in control of situations beyond my control simply by focusing on the joy and focusing on what story is there and how to tell it. Captains tell stories. Captains don't give in to chaos. If I truly want to be the captain of my soul, I must not give in to chaos. When situations beyond my control come into my life, I must not give in to chaos. I must focus on what the Lord wants me to focus on, and focus on finding and telling the story. Because who else will if I don't? We all have our parts to play in this life. We all have responsibilities, and mine is to tell stories. To use what I've been through and what I have yet to go through for good. That others might be able to learn from it and grow from it, and that I might be able to grow despite all that I've gone through. In order to help others grow, I need to be willing to set myself aside, to forget myself and go to work being a storyteller and helping not only my own stories come to life, but other stories. Because all stories matter, even my own, and all stories can help society as a whole and all of God's children to become better. And that is how I am serving as the Lord's hands. For I know my soul is great, the worth of my soul is great unto the sight of God, and I am one of God's works and glories. And it is my work and my glory to help God bring to pass life. And I do that by bringing to pass the stories of my life and helping others bring to pass theirs.